Ready to kind of level up your coding game?
Always.
All right. Well, today we're going deep on a really interesting article from the Algo Academy blog. It's called "The Power of Small Wins."
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and and you know how it feels when you finally squash a bug or you figure out that algorithm you've been stuck on.
Yeah, that's the best.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, they actually say that that's not just a nice feeling. It's like actually rewiring your brain to make you a better coder.
Hmm. It's true. It's all about those dopamine hits.
Okay.
Every time you have one of those small wins, your brain's like, yes, do that again.
Okay, so more wins, a better coder I'm getting. I like this already.
Yeah, it's like paving a smoother road in your brain, makes it easier to learn new things, solve tougher problems.
So it's like the more I celebrate those small wins, the more I'm kind of training my brain to be awesome at coding.
And-
All right, but let's get real for a sec. How does this actually help when we're talking about like the really complex stuff?
Yeah.
Like the challenges that make you want to just give up.
Okay, well, think of it like this. Imagine trying to tackle, I don't know, Dijkstra's shortest path algorithm.
Hmm.
If you look at the whole thing at once, it's like, whoa, too much.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But if you break it down, right, you start with, okay, what's the graph look like? Then you figure out the priority queue. Then you do the relaxation step. Each one of those, boom, mini victory.
Oh, okay. So instead of getting overwhelmed by this massive problem, I'm basically tricking my brain with these little wins to keep going.
You got it. And each win makes the next step a little bit easier,
Yeah.
less intimidating.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, the article also talks about imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
This is something that I've heard like everyone in tech talk about.
Yeah, it's that feeling like you're not a real coder, like you're going to get found out any minute.
Well-
It's really common, especially when you're just starting out.
You look at all these other coders and it's like they were born knowing this stuff.
Right, right. But here's where the small wins come in again. Every time you achieve something, it's like proof that you can do it. It's evidence against that negative voice in your head.
It's like, take that, imposter syndrome. I have proof I'm a coder now.
Exactly.
But okay, we're talking a lot about theory here. How do we actually do this small wins thing? Like, are there specific things we can do to make it work?
Yeah, the article actually lays out 5 super actionable tips.
All right, hit me with them.
Okay, first up, micro goals. Break down those huge, scary goals into tiny steps.
Okay, so instead of saying I'm going to learn this whole programming language this week, I'd be like, I'm going to learn one new thing today.
Exactly. Make it so small you can't not win.
Okay, I like it. What's the next one?
Track your progress.
Ooh, good.
It's not enough just to put in the work. You got to be able to see those wins, measure it, make it real.
Okay, so like a coding journal or something.
Yeah, or a spreadsheet, project management tools. Even platforms like Algo Academy usually have built-in tracking. It's all about making that progress visible.
Okay, so basically turn it into a game, level up as I go.
Yeah.
Love it. What's number 3?
Right. Number 3 is incremental learning.
Incremental learning.
Yeah, don't try to learn everything at once. Focus on one concept, master it, then move to the next. It's like building a house, you don't start with the roof.
Got to lay the foundation first.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. So what about tools? Do they play a role in all this?
Oh, big time. Platforms like Algo Academy are great for this. They break down complex topics into bite-sized pieces, and they give you feedback as you go. It's like having a personal coding coach.
And they usually have the progress tracking built in.
Right.
So it's like you're getting those dopamine hits and seeing the results right there in front of you.
Exactly. And finally, don't forget about the power of community.
Okay, so don't code alone in the dark basement.
Right. Share your wins, celebrate with other coders. You'll be surprised how motivating it can be.
All right, so find my coding crew, cheer each other on.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. So this small wins approach it's almost like a whole philosophy for coding.
It really is.
But to really see how it works in practice, the article dives into a specific coding example. Implementing a binary search algorithm.
Oh, yeah.
Let's break that down. In the next part of this deep dive, I think it'll really bring all these ideas to life.
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's get into that binary search example.
Yeah, okay.
And see how this small wins thing actually works when you're writing code.
Right.
So we've got to implement a binary search, right?
Yep.
What's the first instinct? Like, how do most people approach this?
Well, a lot of people, they just try to, write the whole thing at once from start to finish,
Yeah.
get it all out there.
And that's where the frustration starts, right? Especially if you're not like a total algorithm whiz.
Yeah, it can get messy, confusing.
Yeah.
But with the small wins method, you break it down. You start with just the function shell, just the basic structure, takes the array, the target value, that's it.
So you haven't even done any of the logic yet,
Right.
but you've got like a starting point.
Yeah, exactly. You've achieved something.
Yeah.
And that little feeling of success, that's the dopamine that keeps you going.
Okay, so what's the next small win after that?
Well, then you might just find the middle element of the array.
Oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
like building with Lego blocks,
Right.
like one piece at a time.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
snap one piece in place,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, cool. What's next?
And you get that little dopamine hit, like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. So middle element, what comes after that?
Then you got to compare, right? Is this middle element the one we're looking for?
Oh, okay.
Or do we need to go left or right in the array? You're basically building the decision-making part of the algorithm step by step.
So it's like instead of trying to solve the whole maze at once,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just figuring out like one turn at a time.
Exactly. And with each turn,
Okay.
you're reinforcing those pathways in your brain, making it easier to learn.
Okay, so by the time I get to the recursive part,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, okay, now search the left half or the right half, I've already built up to that point.
Exactly. The big picture starts to become clear. It's not so overwhelming anymore.
I'm liking this more and more. It's like
Good.
not only does it make the problem easier to solve, but it's like you're really understanding it better as you go.
That's exactly it. It's not just about getting the code to work. It's about really getting it,
Yeah.
Understanding why it works.
All right. So we've got the recursive structure down.
Mhm.
What's the next win?
Well, now you got to handle the base cases. What happens if you find the target?
Oh, right.
Or what if it's not in the array at all? You got to make sure the algorithm knows what to do in every situation.
It's like tying up all the loose ends.
Exactly, making sure it's complete.
Okay. So even things like debugging or handling edge cases, those are all opportunities for small wins.
Absolutely.
It's like instead of getting frustrated by those things,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, cool, I figured that out. That's another win.
Right. You're celebrating the process.
Yeah, love it.
The whole journey, not just the destination.
All right, so rewrite our code. We handle the base cases. What's the final small win in this whole process?
Well, then you test it, rigorously with all sorts of different inputs.
Yeah.
Make sure it works every time.
And each time it passes a test.
Yes.
That's a small win.
Another win. Exactly.
So even just the act of testing is part of this whole positive feedback loop.
Absolutely. It's all connected.
All right, but the article it also mentions that this small wins thing, it's not always easy to do.
Oh, for sure.
What are some of the things that can kind of trip people up?
Well, impatience, for one,
Yeah.
We live in a world where everything's got to be instant.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
easy to get discouraged when you're not seeing huge progress right away.
Especially when you see like other people online.
Right.
It's like, oh, they're building these amazing things, and I'm still stuck on this basic problem.
Yeah, the comparison trap.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, you got to focus on your own journey.
Yeah.
Everyone learns at their own pace. Celebrate your own wins, no matter how small they seem.
It's like, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20.
Exactly.
All right, what other challenges are there?
Well, sometimes it's just hard to see the wins,
Yeah, I get that.
You're so focused on the next problem,
Mm-hmm.
you forget to look back and see how far you've come.
It's like you're so busy climbing the mountain, you forget to enjoy the view.
Exactly. So take the time to reflect, celebrate those wins, even the tiny ones.
Whether it's a bug you finally fixed, or a new concept that finally clicked, or even just like a really elegant line of code you wrote.
Yeah, it all counts.
It's like, give yourself a high five for that,
Exactly. Those little celebrations keep you going. They make the journey more enjoyable.
Speaking of journeys, one journey that every coder eventually has to face is the dreaded coding interview.
Oh, yeah.
And that can feel like a whole mountain range to climb.
It can be intimidating,
Yeah.
but guess what?
Right.
Small wins can help with that, too.
All right, so let's dive into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
We'll see how this approach can help us conquer those coding interviews one small win at a time.
Mm.
Okay, so coding interviews, they're like the ultimate test
Yeah.
for any coder, right?
Yeah.
And I know I've been there. It's like you've got to know everything. All these algorithms, data structures, it's overwhelming.
It's a lot, but that's where, our small wins friend comes in again.
Okay, so how do I even start?
Hmm.
Like what's the first small win I can aim for when I'm like facing this mountain of interview prep?
All right, let's say you need to brush up on your algorithms, right? Pick a category, maybe sorting algorithms, and just focus on getting really good at those.
Okay, so one category at a time. Don't try to do everything at once.
Exactly. Break it down even further. Learn one specific algorithm each day.
All right, so I've got my category. I've got my daily learning goal. Um, what's next? Just start solving problems.
Yeah, practice is key, but don't just solve them in your head, you know? Talk it out. Explain your thinking process as you go. Like you're teaching it to someone else.
Oh, okay. So it's like I'm not just coding for the computer. I'm coding for an audience.
Exactly. That's what you're going to be doing in the interview.
Right. Right. Yeah. I always forget about that part. It's like I get so focused on just getting the answer.
I know. I know. It's easy to do.
Okay. So practice explaining. Got it. What else?
Once you feel good about the basics, you got to do some mock interviews.
Oh yeah, those.
Yeah, start with maybe one a week.
Okay.
And then as you get closer to the real thing, you can ramp it up.
So each mock interview, that's like a small win in itself.
Absolutely. You're getting experience, you're building confidence.
Yeah, it's like a dress rehearsal for the main event.
Exactly.
This is making me think about like Algo Academy and those kinds of platforms. They seem perfect for this kind of like structured interview prep.
Yeah, they're really good at that. You can target your practice based on specific companies, even specific job roles. And they usually have progress tracking so you can see yourself improving.
It's like they built those platforms with the small wins approach in mind.
I think they did, yeah.
So even something as big and scary as a coding interview, it's all about breaking it down, taking it one step at a time, celebrating those small wins.
You got it. That's the key.
And even if you don't, nail the first interview you go on,
Hmm.
it's still a learning experience, right?
Oh, absolutely. Every interview teaches you something. It helps you get better for next time.
It's like okay, I didn't win that round, but I learned something. I leveled up.
Exactly. That's the attitude.
But the article, it also talks about like the bigger picture, right? Like
Hmm.
the benefits of this approach go beyond just interviews.
Oh, yeah. It's a way of life almost.
Okay, so how does this small wins thing? How does it help me in the long run as a coder?
Well, the more you celebrate those small wins, the more your brain learns to love learning.
Oh
It
yeah.
becomes a positive feedback loop. You learn something, you feel good, you learn more, you feel even better.
So it's like I'm training my brain to be a learning machine.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. The article mentions faster skill development and greater resilience, even greater job satisfaction.
wow. So this is really about like becoming a better learner overall.
It really is.
And that's something that helps you, in every area of your life, not just coding.
Absolutely. When you approach challenges with that small wins mindset, you're more likely to stick with it, to persevere. You know that every step forward is a victory.
It's like you're not afraid to fail because
Mm.
even failure is just a chance to learn and try again.
Right. Failure is just part of the process.
It's like a stepping stone to success.
Exactly.
Reading this article, there's one point that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like explicitly stated in the tips section or anything,
Hmm.
but it kind of gets at the heart of this whole small wins thing.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's not just about getting to the finish line. It's about enjoying the journey.
Yes. That's it. It's not just about, getting the job or building the perfect app. It's about like finding joy in the process of coding itself.
Yeah, finding satisfaction in every line of code you write, every problem you solve.
Because at the end of the day, that's what makes it all worthwhile, right?
Absolutely.
So to everyone listening out there, no matter where you are in your coding journey, just remember,
Hmm.
celebrate those small wins, embrace the challenges, and most importantly,
What's that?
enjoy the ride.
I like that. Enjoy the ride.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into the power of small wins.
Well, it's been fun.
Until next time, keep coding, keep learning, and keep celebrating those victories, no matter how small.